All right, so then we come to actually writing our answers. This is where we start to earn our marks. Thing to remember: read the question, understand the question, answer the question. That's it. Sounds easy, doesn't it? Problem is, most students either don't read the question or they don't answer the question, right? Because a lot of students, they read one or two words in the question, they get so excited because they revise that the night before. So for example, they'll read something like integrated reporting, right, in the task. They'll read, oh my God, great integrated reporting, and they just write everything they remember about integrated reporting, right? And they think, wow, that's full marks there. And then they look at the question again and they realize the question wasn't asking you to explain integrated reporting. The question was asking you why stakeholders might be interested or would like you to to follow integrated reporting. It's about stakeholders. It's not about integrated reporting. See what I mean? You see what I mean here? And that's what most students do. They don't read the question. That's another reason that I ask you, please, for goodness sake, highlight the keywords in the question so you understand what you're being asked. You don't understand what you're being asked, and you write this fantastic answer to a question that hasn't been asked. You just wasted lots of time, and you've earned how many marks? 0. Right? That's why you highlight, guys. That's why you highlight. Understand the question, and what are you being asked for? And this can be a bit tricky, and I'll talk about that in just a second. And then answer the question. Excuse me. Answer the question. No more, no less. I often get asked, well, look, should I, in a briefing paper, should I give a recommendation? And I say, well, okay, does the question ask you for a recommendation? No. Then don't do it. All right. Don't do it. It's a waste of time. It's not going to earn you any marks. ATQ. Simple. All right? You are not there to make your answer look beautiful and pretty. You're there to make your points that earn the marks. Every second that you're there to earn marks by answering the question. Nothing else. And each point that you make is going to be earning 2 marks, and I'll tell you how to do that in just a second. Right, so let's talk about reading the question, understanding the question, etc. Okay, so go back to well, not go back. There's another question here, right? This task, I can't read it. You can probably read it. My screen, it's very small. I think it's task 3. But anyway, part A. Prepare a confidential report to Johan, which discusses from a strategic perspective the continuing need for effective information systems controls within first aid. Oh my God. What's he talking about? Not a clue, right? Strategic perspective, continuing need for effective information systems. Controls, not systems, but controls within first aid. And what he's really saying is, what happens strategically if your controls are weak? Right? What happens strategically what happens strategically, ladies and gentlemen, if your controls are weak, is that your information, the data that you hold, all right, for example, data from your donors, okay, is hacked or it's corrupted, it's stolen, right? And because of that, your donors don't trust you anymore, right? And they're not going to give you money anymore. And if they don't give you any money anymore, ladies and gentlemen, strategically speaking, you're in deep trouble. Your business, your NGO, can no longer operate. So from a strategic perspective, there's a continuing need for effective information systems control. And then you go on and say, that means that we need to monitor our controls now, Oh, sorry, we need to identify and make sure our controls are robust now. And then what we need to do is monitor them because the threat changes, right? New viruses come along, blah, 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 blah. And so then we need to update our controls and make sure they're constantly relevant. That is what we mean by continuing need for effective controls. Is that clear? So you need to think about it. Look at the words carefully. Think about it. Otherwise, you jump in and you say, well, yeah, this is about information systems. Not really. It's about controlling your information systems so that you can continue to achieve your strategic objectives. All right. Now, I talked about two marks per point. All right. I've already said that. Now, a lot of students, what they do is they say, oh, 2 marks, great, fine. Well, I can earn 2 marks. I'll write 5 words. There you go. That's 2 marks. Nonsense. Nonsense. All right. To earn 2 marks, remember, I told you 1.8 minutes a mark. 1.8 minutes a mark means you have 3.6 minutes to make that point. 3.6 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. You can write a lot in 3.6 minutes. You write 5 words, the marker's not going to be impressed. Okay? The marker is expecting a full, well-explained point. And what does that mean? It means that your answer needs to state your point, explain your point, and apply your point. Most students, what they do is they state and explain, but they don't apply their point. And it's for the application. Remember I said at the beginning, right? It's for the application that you earn your 2nd mark. Now I'll give you an example of what that looks like in just a second, but I want you to introduce it. State, explain, apply. Sometimes I use the word "so what." I basically, so you write something down, you step back, you look at what you've written, and you ask yourself, so what? What is this telling? What is this telling the board of directors? Right? And if you don't have a so what, that means you haven't done your apply. That's what it means. We'll see what I mean in a second. Here's something from the examiner's report. Main weaknesses: lack of depth, an explanation of the points made, and in failing to consider the context of QH appropriately and logically. QH was the company that the examiner was referring to. Okay, so here we go. Here's an example: state, explain, apply, and so what. And it's this point here, and I wish I could make it a little bigger. Unfortunately, I can't. So I'll try and read it. It's tiny writing. It's that first point, right? Improved access to up-to-date and information. So what was the question? Benefits to TA of adopting cloud and mobile technology, right? That was the question. I'm saying the benefit. Improved access to up-to-date data and information. I'm stating my point, right? You have improved access, stating. This is critical when teams in the field need to coordinate with one another when in different locations. All decisions are made based on the same data, and when that changes, the latest data is then available. For example, the stage of completion of a water well from where the water will be pumped. That's explain, right? So why it's a benefit to have this up-to-date data using mobile technology. That's why. Notice I'm applying it to the facts in the question. It's not a general answer. And then here is the application. This enhances the speed of project completion and an efficient use of resources to achieve our strategic goals. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the application, right? Remember, you're talking to the board of directors here. They are concerned about achieving strategic goals. Your application is something that they want to know is going to help them do that.